So, hi, my name is Mangakamen, and today I'm joined with a very special guest, someone I recently responded to, Mr. Gamer from Mars. How are you doing today?
Pretty good.
Good. Now, you told me you wanted to talk about the criticisms that I levied at you in my latest video.
Yeah, the main thing, just kind of the overall part that I was fascinated by was the, what did you feel my agenda was with that video? I never quite got a clear idea of what you actually thought my personal opinions on the matter were, where I was trying to come from, or like if I was trying to push somebody's uh, kind of point of view.
Well, if I could put a tinfoil fedora on my head because I can't read your mind, so feel free to point this out if I'm wrong on that matter right there, of course. Um, I wouldn't really say it was like a malicious intent because when I was talking about because one of the biggest issues I had with your video was that you didn't bring up MatPat's response to Pirate Software and how Toby Fox only called him out. I don't know if you saw like the PewDiePie video that he did on this situation a little bit ago. Did you?
The MatPat PewDiePie video.
Yeah. He talked about this
Uh,
very same situation in it.
Sure. Maybe I never made that connection. I mean, I did see the tweets with Toby Fox and stuff, but I just didn't feel it really added anything to the conversation that I was trying to bring up. I feel that like I bring up later in the video that Matt Pat kind of has this way of responding to criticism where it comes off as very passive aggressive,
Mm-hmm.
and I suppose I was kind of including those sort of instances in that,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't feel that that specific thing really had much to do with the point I was trying to make.
Well, I can understand that, but the thing is that a lot of people really just got upset with MatPat because the way he put it out, and this is when I talked to like a whole bunch of people when I put my video out, and Chad Versity talked to me about it in the comment section. It was just that it was passive aggressive. The fact that he was trying to pass the buck off onto a couple of his nameless employees, and basically just came off as if though he didn't want to do it, but when Toby Fox came in, you know how like there's always a bigger fish sort of thing going on right there.
Hmm.
That's sort of what like
Yeah, I've seen the Toby Fox comments, and I guess yeah, he kind of called out Matt Pat too, but it was not really the point I was trying to bring out. I was mainly responding to the initial criticism from the developer of the game, who was kind of complaining
ah
about the tags and the clickbait title, which it is clickbait, of course, but what isn't on YouTube nowadays that's popular.
yeah, I'll give you that much.
I just think it's more of like hypocritical. I feel that with a lot of this, people are going after Matt Pat harder than they would other YouTubers if they did the same thing. Because let's give an example of a YouTuber like Video Game Donkey. He gets millions of views per video, but if you click in the description of his content, even if it's an indie game, he does not link to the Steam page for that video game. He doesn't do that either, but I have never heard anybody complain about Video Game Donkey or the countless other hundreds of gaming channels that don't provide links in the description. It just seems to be it was a point made at Matt because people decided that they were angry at Matt Pat that day.
Well, I can understand that, and I'll agree with you that MatPat does get a lot of like a lot of like undue hate because I always get like people saying, "Oh, he stole this theory from Reddit," and I'm like thinking, there's a difference between stealing a straight up theory and just getting a concept or an idea. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
the thing is, with the
and
gaming link in there, I do agree that you don't have to link the game, but this goes back to like MatPat's like tweets where he was responding to Pirate Software. A lot of people felt like if you were going to, if your goal was to support the game and get your audience into it, and once again, this is just like a soft core interpretation. I'm not saying you have to do it, but it would be more. It would lend credence to the fact that he was trying to get more attention to the game. You know?
mhm, sure. And it's clear Matt Pat. Whenever Matt Pat makes responses to any criticism levied against him, it always comes out terribly.
Mm.
Uh, so I agree that probably his response wasn't the best. I forget his exact wording, but it always comes off as passive aggressive. I did mention that in the video,
Hmm.
just because he tries to keep this veneer of positivity on every single thing he does most of the time. But
Well,
I
it's
would cut him a little bit of slack because he has been dealing with this Defy Media thing where they ripped off like he probably got scammed out of $200,000 in that instance, and he was dealing with that and then on top of this, everybody's trying to pile on top of him for a live stream that he probably did not think again about after he finished it. And
Yeah,
it's just
I'll agree with
I give him
that,
a break.
but at the same time, hindsight's always 2020, and we had no idea this stuff was going on with him specifically with Defy at the time. I mean,
Sure, yeah,
you
I
have to
feel that
forgive me
just
because
people.
I don't really follow that because, I mean, yeah, it really does suck, and I understand like those creators should get it, but I'm and I don't want to get into a whole debate with like that whole Defy Media thing right here because that's not really the point of this. But the thing is, when you're talking about like when you're having like a public persona going on, and I understand he's really cheery, and that's not really. I think it's just like not the fact that he was being overly positive. It was like you said, like him being passive aggressive about it.
Well, I think that's what passive aggressiveness is, especially in his case, is he's always super positive even when he's mad. And that those two things combined always turn into that emotion and that kind of attitude. And it
Mm-hmm.
just does not come off well and it does not make you look good. And
Yeah.
I think that's really the main thing he could work on. In particular, for that case, though, he shouldn't even have responded to the guy. At most, he probably should have just fixed the stuff quietly and not said anything or try
Or
to reach out to him behind the scenes.
yeah, and once again, I said this in my video, but in my original video on the topic, but we don't know if Pirate Software did reach out to MatPat privately. I mean, I tried to reach out to them, but I don't know if they got my message or not. But the thing is, I've had like a few people, like I've had artists come to me because a couple weeks ago I had an artist who told me that MatPat used like a logo in his Bendy and the Ink Machine video, and he used it like multiple times, like 8 times. And the artist tried leaving a comment, it got deleted or was put in the spam folder. I'm not going to say either or on that. And he tried reaching him on Twitter, no dice there. He had to go to Reddit in order to reach MatPat about the situation. And it's just
Yeah, I
like,
mean, did he try emailing him?
does MatPat have a public email? I'm not completely sure.
Oh yeah, he has a that's probably the best way to go. Because I mean, MatPat gets 1,000 comments a day or something, and
Yeah, I would
probably more
imagine
than
so.
that, honestly.
Yeah.
Thousands of comments a day, and then he gets thousands of tweets. The best way is a business email because he probably has a person that
Yeah.
kind of goes through that stuff, sees what's legitimate business offers and what's actual like legal complaints and stuff,
Yeah.
and could
But
kind of sort through it.
yeah, and like I said, the best thing that should have done was take it offline or at least make it private, so that way there's nothing. Because I agree with you that this was something that should not have blown up, and it really did until Toby Fox came in with a right hook.
It maybe I don't know the exact timeline because I kind of showed up. I didn't pay a lot of attention to the exact event until afterwards when I kind of decided that man, people are really piling up on MatPat right now, and I tried to dive into the two complaints,
Yeah.
and it just kind of seemed like, honestly, it just stuff like that. It comes off personally to me as very petty complaints in the great scheme of things because when you're a YouTuber, especially of MatPat size, you're dealing with contracts that are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars in some cases. He has a staff of tons of people working for him. He has like all these people writing scripts. Like in the great scheme of things, like a guy asking for a link in a description, it's not worth the hassle for MatPat. It's not like this thing that's really going to make or break him. So I just feel that
Yeah.
it does not justify the response it received. I guess I kind of just think
and I'll
I'm
agree
beating
with that.
myself.
I will agree with that. It was like, but you know how the internet is. They'll blow up over the smallest little things.
I mean, honestly, the other point is, do you think I like MatPat? What was your interpretation? Because I was a bit confused.
Honestly, I felt that you were trying to be a more neutral party, but again, my issue was more like that you didn't include the context because, like I said, from where I was standing and from what I've seen, a lot of people had issue with how MatPat responded with the comments that he was giving back to Pirate Software.
Sure, and I did bring up that he gets very passive aggressive with responses to stuff. I didn't go into specifics for that sort of thing in particular. So
And that's
maybe I
understandable.
could have. It's kind of just like a preference thing of how I write the video. People think I cherry pick a lot, but I really try to get to the truth of stuff, or at least in my opinion, I do. And sometimes a portion of it is not the part I'm interested in. I like getting to certain areas of it, and that's the thing that I'm kind of fixated on, and the part that I have something to say about. And other things like, the back and forth where people are complaining to one another in the Twitter comments and not Twitter threads.
Mm-hmm.
It just does not interest me.
And I get that, yeah. Although, and I know you're probably not interested, one thing that I always, and this is actually going back to like the Legal Eagles situation a little bit, one of the bigger issues that people had was that after, and I told you this via the DMs, but MatPat actually got on Twitter and complained that Legal Eagle wasn't pinning his comment or responded to his comment an hour after it was made on the video.
Yeah, I think that MatPat, for that one, probably thought that he was just trying to start a controversy to get some extra clicks for himself. Like, I honestly don't know. Did the guy actually believe that MatPat ripped him off? It's possible. I really don't know the exact details for that entire situation.
I mean, if I can get
but it's just kind of like another thing where it's one person's word against another, and they're kind of fighting back and forth. I try to look at the greater scheme of things of, did MatPat rip off this guy? I think that was the main important issue of that argument. Yeah. The other stuff is just a petty feud that I'm not really concerned with.
Although, if I could give my interpretation of Legal Eagle's video, while I do agree that he kind of, screwed up at the end where he said, "Come on, MatPat, drop me a link," because, that's kind of a dumb thing to say. The way the whole video struck it off, it was like he was trying to give an example of how this kind of case law could go, because, and you have to forgive me, but I am not completely sure if MatPat's, whole, video, how he makes videos is out there for the entire public. Is it, or?
Can you repeat that? I didn't quite understand.
I'm sorry. Sorry.
I may have broke up a bit. I missed a part of it.
All right. Basically, I asked, was MatPat's video process, was it ever public or made public to people so that way they know how long an actual game theory can take?
Well, the way I understand it, because I talked to a person or two that have some behind-the-scenes access to game theory, and what happens is they sometimes find people that are script writers or YouTubers themselves, and then they have them write a script for MatPat, and then sometimes they make it right away, and then sometimes it's shelved for a later date when the subject becomes more relevant. I would assume for something like that, since it was so topical, they were making it as quickly as possible. Mm-hmm. But for the size of MatPat, the idea that he would get a lawyer for himself to research the video is not surprising. He has the money to do that. So yeah. I just don't. Although a lot of the cases of MatPat stealing ideas and stuff from back in the day, I feel that he corrected since he knew it just gave him trouble. So I don't think he does that anymore. Has there been a recent example of MatPat ripping somebody off?
Not off the top of my head, so...
No, I think it was the thing that happened back in the day, but once the criticism started rolling in about his writers getting a lot of their information from Reddit threads and stuff, he updated and fixed it and started kind of giving shout-outs when he did use somebody else's video as the basis for his. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, if you give somebody a shout-out in a video, you could kind of just use their entire subject and no one will get mad. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
It's better than trying to cover up the fact that you're being inspired by somebody else or kind of copying them.
Yeah, as long as you have credit and you say, "Hey, this ain't mine. I'm just using it because it's a good point" or something like that. That's perfectly fine if you ask me.
Yeah. And I honestly, I don't even watch game theory, but the one that I only watch the ones about YouTube related subjects. Mm-hmm. And the Shane Dawson one where he covered the points that Nerd City brought up. If you saw that Nerd City video, the game theory video was basically didn't provide any new context or information there. It was just kind of a rundown of what another video said. But since he gave ample credit to the original creator, no one was mad.
Yeah. I could say that, that's kind of lazy on his part, but that's really stretching it right there,
Yeah, it's how the internet works. People remix things and take other people's concepts and do it for themselves, and it spreads. And there's some leeway to be given. There's always boundaries where you could call out a person if they go too far with it, but I really don't think MatPat gets to a point where you could call him out for just stealing other people's work word for word.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I really get, I mean, I have been a critic of Matt Pats in the past. Like, funny thing, if you actually go to that live stream where he actually talked about you and Proto Mario, if you look in the tabs, you'll see like there's a top 7 worst game theories, and that's mine. And later, like in the October stream he actively made fun of me in it.
Yeah, I mean, he gets very easily upset, and he should probably just ignore any criticism against him. Like,
Yeah.
it was not beneficial for him to respond to me or anybody else. He's probably better off just handling stuff behind the scenes if he can, or just let it blow over because, as you said, the responses are oftentimes worse than the original crime he was accused of.
It's like throwing gasoline on a match.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty good descriptive term.
Was there
for
anything
you.
else in my video that you wanted to discuss?
I mean, there was just a few little things. I didn't get upset at your video. It nothing really. For as much as it was a expose video on me and calling me out, there wasn't really much there that I felt that you and I disagreed on. It just our way of going about bringing up the same subject and our viewpoint on it is just a little different.
Yeah. I mean, I really call it a call-out video because what I normally do is I actually do commentary responses, basically slideshow. I see a video that I disagree with or, just want to poke fun at, and then I'll just, like, make jokes, counterpoints, that sort of thing. It's not meant to be like, I expose you for the fraud you are, you Mr. Robot. It's not supposed to be like that.
Yeah, I find it very interesting that usually when people kind of call me out or do a response, most of the time the video, in the great scheme of things, is pretty tame, but then you go down to the comments, and the comments are really the cancer.
Yeah. Then again, everyone's got an axe to grind with someone,
Yeah, I mean that's just the way it goes. So yeah, I'm not upset at all. It's just
I'm glad you're a good sport. Thank you.
It's kind of at the point now where as long as something doesn't financially affect me, I just don't care. That's really what it is. As long as you're not affecting my income and my revenue streams, it's not really an issue for me.
No. Unless you did something like really, really horrible, I would never want to wish that upon anyone. You've worked hard to get your channel. I may not personally find your content to be all that exhilarating. I'm more of a guy who likes watching video game based content.
Yeah, I mean that's fine. It's a lot of people like you.
Oh, sorry. My apologies. I shouldn't be talking over you.
Sure, no, but I was just going to say a lot of people, they say my videos are boring. That's perfectly fine. I find 99.9% of YouTube videos boring myself. Not everybody has to like the same thing. A lot of people like super enthusiastic people like Matt Patter, who are always happy and over the top. I get very annoyed at those sort of people, and I try to avoid them. I like people like myself who are a little bit more calm, a little bit more reserved, who don't get emotional every second of the day. It's preferences, and I don't feel that my content is bad, nor do I feel Matt Pat's content is bad. I think it's just made for different people, and YouTube is such a big platform. There's enough content to go around for anybody's preference.
Yeah. The other thing that I think I want to talk about is just, and this is a point that I want to ask you and get more clarification on. You said that a lot of people got mad at him for making FNAF theories, and I'm like thinking, okay, that's kind of a little weird right there. And would you like to
well, that's what he accused me of in his original response to my what happened to MatPat video. Yeah, so a lot of the stuff that you were saying I wasn't providing sources of, I did not do it because I was trying to confuse people or lie. I just thought that they were kind of common knowledge points.
Well, I wasn't trying to say you were lying. I was just saying as, like anecdotal, basically, with your own personal stuff right there that, like, if you say, like, if I were to say, like, oh, this guy doesn't wear pants, I've seen him do it. That's what I'm getting at right there, because you wouldn't actually trust if it was just like a single eyewitness account, right?
Sure, but if a person is known for not wearing pants, then you don't necessarily have to provide that fact. You don't necessarily have to provide proof for every single little claim if most people already know it. So if I say in a video, bananas are yellow, I don't have to provide a picture of a banana or a citation for that because it's just kind of a piece of information a lot of people know about. Yeah. So maybe you disagree with what I feel is common knowledge, but I wasn't trying to do it to deceive people or anything
Well,
like that.
well, no, I think
I
it
thought
was
there
the
were
fact of
points
the
that were
matter is
kind
that
of
you. I think it was the fact of the matter that you said like a lot of people were complaining about his FNAF videos when, now
oh,
you
they
can.
were. Yeah. I mean, do you disagree with that?
I kind of do because I mean you're, and correct me if I'm wrong if I'm misquoting you right here because yeah, but your video said like it was a lot of people who were complaining about MatPat's FNAF theories, and while I will agree that there are people who probably do find contention with his theories, there were other people who found like issue with like to complain about MatPat, like with that example I brought with
Sure,
Nick.
but I think a big portion of that was people saying he was a sellout because he just was making the content that would get him views, which was Five Nights at
Oh,
Freddy's content, and
I
that was
think it
kind of a
might.
turning point on his channel where things started going downhill because he wasn't making content that people liked as much as whatever the biggest group of people would be watching and would get the most clicks for him.
Yeah, I think that might have just been like a act of miscommunication on
Yeah.
my part, or whatever, me misunderstanding what your point
Yeah,
was.
I personally do not care. Like, I don't honestly, I don't care about game theory videos at all. I just don't really watch them, nor do I watch film theory videos. They're not really for me. I never really enjoyed them at any point, even at the very beginning. I remember back in 2011 or 2012 when he first started making them. Even back then, I just wasn't really interested in the content because I personally enjoy stuff that's based off real life things and in-game lore where you're kind of just covering theories that really have no consequence to the real life uh, proponent of things. It doesn't interest me personally. So
And then again, like you said, it's perfectly fine. For me though, and for some people, like I said, some people find like I said, a lot of people, they live and breathe their hobbies and fandoms, and sometimes people just don't like how some popular schmuck on the internet is like saying like, Mario's a psychopath, or Phoenix Wright doesn't know how to do is like an evil person and stuff like that. I get that.
well, like, who cares? It's like it's video games. It's like people flipping out. He says Sans' nest or whatever. I didn't even watch that video, but I found the response so hilarious. People were flipping out over a theory based off non-existing characters, and just like I just do not understand why somebody would get upset over that. There's so much in life that causes problems for people. That seems to be like on the bottom of a list of
First
things
world problems, huh?
that are wrong with the world.
First world problems.
Even on a list of first world problems, though, it's still like on the bottom of that list.
Yeah, again, I'm not going to disagree with you on that. I just think, some people like to have, like, entertainment, and you know how some people like to see people rip into other people's content and that sort of thing, and just, see how things can be undone. And I'm not going to go because we're going to go back into, like, whole subjectivity thing on that, and that's going to be, something that we argue about till we're blue in the face, but, is there anything else you want to talk about, or anything you want to say to me, or anything like that?
Nothing really in particular. I think I just wanted to kind of have a little discussion to see where you thought I was at with my video, because with that one in particular, it was very interesting because I got a lot of comments saying that I was a MatPat hater, and then I got another group of people that were going after me saying I was a suck up to MatPat and I was like a shill for him. And it was like two groups of people saying the complete opposite thing in the comment section of the same video, and it didn't make a lot of sense to me.
I'm gonna be straightforward with you. When I made my video and I made my script, I did not think that you were a suck up or that you were defending him. You were just trying to explain the situation. I just felt like some of the situation was, not well explained, and there was some other things that could have been more explained upon, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, I think where your criticism came in, which I didn't quite get from the video, which was I focused on the original event of the Legal Eagle thing and the video game Heartbound, and you were more upset with the portion of his response and how things went down after the original complaints came out. So yeah, I did not cover those portions of it in the video. Maybe I should have. It's kind of just like a preference thing. I didn't personally think those were the important points to cover, but maybe somebody else, including yourself, would disagree with that.
Yeah, again, it's to each their own, and I can understand from your point of view, and I do apologize if I misconstrued your words or anything like that.
No, yeah, I don't think you misconstrued me. Like, I did not get upset at your video. There have been people that, just call me out for ignorant stuff where they just flat out lie about me, and you definitely did not do that.
Oh, thank
So,
you. I try to
yeah,
I try to make sure that I'm honest and that I don't, that I don't make people come out to be, bad or anything like that. That's one of my biggest fears is trying to make someone look bad when it's not my goal.
sure, yeah, yeah. Nothing in particular of your video struck me as like being super malicious because honestly, if I did feel it was that way, I would have never reached out to you.
Well, I do appreciate your time. If there's anything you'd like to say, say it now or forever hold your peace.
Subscribe to PewDiePie.
Oh, dear
Don't let
God,
T-Series
no! I was trying to stay away from that meme. No!
I'm hoping that the Super Bowl ad happens.
That actually would be pretty funny to watch, though. Oh, God. Did you know that Rice Gum actually got a Super Bowl ad a while ago?
Yeah, I saw it. He was more of just like an actor. They never actually brought up who he was.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you again for your time. I appreciate it. I'll put this up probably tomorrow, and thanks for your time. I appreciate you reaching out to me.
Sure, sounds good. Subscribe to PewDiePie, guys.
Oh, damn it.
And I'll stop recording now. Okay, that came out pretty